This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
This is a Cystipig. This one in particular is named Bubbles. Cystypigs are perhaps the most grotesque example of corporate-designed livestock. Genetic pig creatures engineered to grow enormous bacon-flavored tumors on their necks, which periodically drop off for easy harvesting. This would be a disturbing footnote in some corporate lab journal if not for one small detail. The working class of the Outer World's Halcyon colony actually eats this stuff. The company proudly calls it sustainable meat production, and in a sense they're right. It's an endless supply of self-regrowing protein. Each tumor is sliced, processed, and canned as sustenance. Boarst Pockets, Cysty Chops. These are staple protein sources sold across the colony. A package of Cystipig tumors is literally sold as a ready-to-cook meat sack. C&P's Boarst factory on Monarch is one of Halcyon's largest food producers. Officially, they call themselves a proud supplier of hearty fare, baked beans, sausages, and other sustainable meat products, but the crown jewel is Boarst. The factory foreman, a man who calls himself Slaughterhouse Clive Lumberg, insists that each Cystypig be fed 5 cans of Boarst per meal. The pig's hooves are also ground into feed for the next generation, forming a grotesque closed loop of life consuming itself. But don't worry, they don't only eat themselves. Their diets also include factory workers who've been given pink slips. Tour the facility at the right time and you might still find the bodies of these terminated employees in the pens. Conditions at the factory aren't all bad though. Shifts are only 23 hours long and workers are required to log their progress every 15 minutes. Unless of course they'd prefer to join the feed cycle. It's a system so efficient it's hard to tell when the livestock ends and the workforce begins. The posters for Boarst feature a cheerful cartoon pig, with slogans like "It's not the worst unless it's the Boarst worst." C&P even sells the factory byproducts as separate snacks. Deep-Fried Cysty Bits, described on the label as the bits left over in the fryer after the tumors are cooked. And maybe you're asking, why does Bubbles here have a name at all? Because handlers are encouraged to form a positive emotional bond with their Cystypigs. That affection allegedly improves the flavor of the tumors. But Bubbles isn't the exception, he's the blueprint. Because in this colony, every meal is a product, every bite is a brand. If you can imagine a world in which the mega corporations have replaced effective governance, I know it's hard, but if you really stretch your imaginations, you can imagine life in the outer worlds. And no brand defines that more than Spacer's Choice. Spacer's Choice runs company towns like Edgewater, where workers are paid by Spacer's Choice, live in Spacer's Choice housing, and eat Spacer's Choice food, a full life on the company dole. Their food lineup is the definition of budget-friendly. There's Saltuna, a canned fish product that should be tuna, but often isn't. In Edgewater's Cannery, they label everything Saltuna, but after decades of overfishing and neglect, real Saltuna fish are scarce. So what's actually in those tins?
Well, not fish.
The so-called plague that ravaged Edgewater turned out to be a severe nutrient deficiency. The town's diet consisted entirely of its own canned Saltuna and beer, but now it's mostly mushrooms, sawdust, and actual dirt in the cans. The Saltuna Cannery's factory line in Edgewater is a model of efficiency and corner cutting. Sprats, little space rats, can be found scurrying around the cannery floor, and rumor suggests they sometimes become the filling. Spacer's Choice denies such claims, of course, though their slogan doesn't exactly inspire confidence. It's less a reassurance than a confession, wrapped in marketing irony, trying to convince consumers they're in on the joke instead of the punchline. Despite, or because of the low quality, Spacer's Choice food is everywhere. They sell bread noodles. Note that the spelling shares its name with the breadworm, which kind of resembles a baguette, and tarmac and cheese, a pasta meal boldly advertised as not real tarmac or real cheese. Spacer's Choice also offers terra-fried spratwurst, a local corn dog variant using the finest herbs and spices to dress up whatever protein is inside. You could also opt for a frozen dinner that comes in a variety of flavors like fried chicken with mashed spectrum potatoes and spiced mock apples, or just stick with the classic Boarst loaf. And then to wash it down, there's Zero G Brew, a beer that is cheap and accessible. Or if you're just looking for some good old-fashioned H2O hydration, Spacer's Choice has you covered with its plain and pure water. It's crisp, it's delicious, it's nutritious. It's water, now with 11% more natural water flavoring. And as a bonus, when plain and pure water is consumed, it applies the sugary drink buff. That's some water. The politics behind Spacer's Choice food strategy are plain. Keep costs minimal, keep workers just fed enough to continue laboring, and discourage any alternatives. In Edgewater, when a group of deserters led by Adelaide McDevitt start growing real vegetables in a botanical garden, it undermines Spacer's Choice's control. Fresh produce was not only healthier, it was independent. No surprise, factory boss Reed Thompson was furious. He derided Adelaide's crop of illegal vegetables and clung to the company policy, even as his workers starved on nutrient-poor cans. Spacer's Choice response to malnutrition was not to improve the food, but to tighten the definition of illness to avoid admitting their food was the cause. Meanwhile, anyone that sought better food outside of company town was branded a traitor to the board. In Halcyon, your employer not only pays your wages, but they practically own your stomach. And what of Spacer's Choice's attitude toward this grim reality? They hide it behind dark humor and propaganda. One Spacer's Choice ad cheerily proclaims, "Taste embrace the freedom. Freedom in this case means the freedom to choose only what the company provides. Spacer's Choice knows its products are bad and they lean into it. It's funny until you remember real colonists have to live and sometimes die with these products. By contrast, Auntie Cleo's tries to present an upscale alternative. Food and drugs with a scientific pedigree. Their slogan, repeated in vending machine jingles, is a confident, Auntie Cleo, it's better than nature. The implication is that natural food, plain old earth vegetables and proteins, not that they exist here anyway, are inferior to Auntie's lab-grown supplement-injected creations. Auntie Cleo herself, this matronly figure, is entirely a marketing fabrication. In reality, the public face of Auntie Cleo is an interchangeable role assumed by different executives. Selected from the company's top female scientists and researchers, each new Auntie undergoes extensive facial and cosmetic surgery to match the brand's idealized image, ensuring that no matter who she is, Auntie Cleo always looks the same, smiles the same, and sells the same lie. So what does better than nature look like on a plate? One offering is Tripicale Pasta Pack, an Auntie Cleo noodle product featuring fun shapes like little spaceships and Cystypigs. It's essentially instant pasta, fortified with who knows what nutrients. They also produce condiments like ketchup, a ketchup alternative made with presumably synthetic tomatoes and a secret blend of 37 herbs and spices. Despite the marketing, Auntie Cleo's has dirty secrets. They have a history of unethical human experimentation in pursuit of high-quality products. We're talking dissolving test subjects in acid, feeding human limbs to raptidons, all to see the effects for new medicinal or food products, so that better than nature slogan takes on a grim cast. Auntie Cleo's will literally torture people to best Mother Nature. At some point, they supposedly scaled down the testing, mostly because it was just easier to sell untested products and let the customers be the guinea pigs. In Halcyon, lack of regulation means a company can push something to market if it's profitable. In many ways, Auntie Cleo stands at the intersection of food and thought control. By deciding what goes into people's bodies, the company maintains order as effectively as any battalion of guns. And now before I tell you about RIZZOS, the brand that makes everything purple, let's all take a quick moment to appreciate today's sponsor. Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that lets you claim a domain, build a beautiful website, and run your business all in one place. Whether you're showing off your art, your writing, your videos, or your extensive knowledge of fictional pork-based food economies, Squarespace has everything you need to make it look good. I've never built a website because I thought you had to look like this to do it. So I was a little nervous when Squarespace asked me if I wanted to give it a shot. I was actually blown away with how easy it was with Squarespace's AI-enhanced website builder called Blueprint to get a fully customized site in just a few steps. I filled out some basic info and bada boom, bada bing, I had a professional website. I think it's super cool that I have one spot where people can find my Patreon and videos and anything else I end up doing. Also, my mom may not be the only one to stumble upon my website, because with Squarespace's built-in SEO tools, every site is optimized with meta descriptions and auto-generated sitemaps, so my website can actually show up on search engines. That is pretty neat. But you know what would be even neater? If I could find you on the internet. So how about this? Head to squarespace.com/Bandercoot for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your masterpiece, use code Bandercoot to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I want to see those websites, people, so get building. Also, Squarespace wants to see them or they'll never work with me again. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring this little food enterprise. Now let's cleanse our palate with something sweet, courtesy of RIZZOS. RIZZOS Corporation is all about pleasure and leisure. RIZZOS wants you to actually enjoy something, albeit artificially and totally profit-driven. The flagship flavor of Halcyon is Purpleberry. This is a completely engineered fruit that RIZZOS developed to be addictively sweet. The result is a fruit higher in sugar content than any earthberry, but with less fiber or nutrition to get in the way of that saccharine rush. Purpleberry Crunch cereal, Purpleberry Munch candies, Purpleberry Punch, a juice drink, Purpleberry wine, and Nanner Spank, a banana-flavored energy drink. Oh, and let's not forget Lemon Slap soda, with the tagline, "Slap your whole family tonight with Lemon Slap." RIZZOS has a presence at leisure locations like the Space Station Resort on Eridanos. Here we see the Purpleberry Orchards, doubling as a nature reserve theme park for tourists. RIZZOS fills a psychological niche. Their sweets and drinks are rewards, coping mechanisms, little sparks of joy in an otherwise bleak existence. Spectrum Vodka is advertised with the slogan, "A glass for every class." The drink is sold in multiple colors, each one tied to a different rung of the social ladder. The red variety is aimed at the working class, cheap, accessible, and proudly mediocre, while violet is marketed as a premium product for Halcyon's elite. Every color of Spectrum Vodka supposedly carries a unique flavor, but the differences are largely a matter of branding. In the end, Spectrum's colors don't reflect taste or quality, just class. Classed, repackaged as choice. RIZZOS keeps you smiling just long enough not to notice the rot beneath the sugar. After all that sugar, you might start craving something fresh, something something green. Unfortunately, in Halcyon, that's harder to find. The board never prioritized shipping viable plant crops on the colony ships, it seems. Instead, it seems they plan to rely on canned goods and later discovered local fungus and algae as substitutes. Spacer's Choice also got in on the synthetic fruit game. Mock apple is a good example. It's a fruit that isn't really an apple, and the companies of Halcyon have embraced it in their products. The name itself, Mock, shows an awareness that much of Halcyon's food is an imitation of Earth fare. Spacer's Choice also sells this bunch of nanners that look like regular bananas at the top, and then on the bottom it kind of looks like a canid's tail or plumage. So who knows what genetic engineering witchcraft is happening to make these. Other so-called natural foods include cacao ribs, sourced from the woolly cows raised on Happydale farms, bred from Earth livestock to survive Halcyon's harsh conditions. Woolly cows serve as one of Halcyon's few genuine sources of meat and dairy. Common products include willy fillet, woolly curds, fresh woolly milk, fresh half woolly milk, purpleberry shake, and perhaps the most infamous of these is cacao milk, whose description gives us a little bit of a window into what this is. We grafted the chocolatiest DNA from CCN76 cacao hybrid into a woolly cow, and now you can have fresh chocolate milk whenever you want. It's dairy, it's dessert, and it's genetic engineering, all in one glass. The food of the Outer Worlds is one of the richest, strangest aspects of its world building. Underneath all the absurd humor lies a sharp critique of runaway corporate control. The colonists of Halcyon literally consume their corporate overlords' ideology with every meal. Each bite reinforces the system. Yet humanity persists in little defiant ways. Take Bavardi, the idealistic engineer on your crew. She longs to cook a genuine dustbag casserole to share with the woman she cares about. A tender homemade meal amid all the fake factory processed flavors. The Outer Worlds ultimately plants a seed of hope. That hope is literally embodied by the colony ship, Hope, a vessel of forgotten colonists left drifting on the fringe of the system. Our journey as players begins by being awoken from that long-lost ship, and the quest to revive the remaining frozen colonists is a direct challenge to Halcyon's status quo. In the face of a society that treats people as expendable cogs in a machine, the game explores the timeless human desires for freedom and dignity. It reminds us that heroes and villains in this world aren't defined by the uniforms they wear or the factions they serve, but by the choices they make. Time and again, individuals in Halcyon are given a chance to do what's right in spite of the system. The Outer Worlds emphasizes that individual action matters. A single person armed with conviction can spark change even against overwhelming odds. In the end, this dystopia offers an earnest and uplifting message. No matter how oppressive the machinery of power, hope can ignite a brighter future for everyone. Bon appetit.